Fantastic. Very good evening, everyone. Welcome to PitchCamp's 16th webinar today. We are very pleased to bring you the growth marketing and the sales leadership series of PitchCamp. So we will have this session for about 45 odd minutes and followed by with Q&A. Today we have an amazing speaker and a very good friend of mine. We have known each other for last 6-8 years from the startup ecosystem. We were both, NASCOM Product Conclave volunteers at some point of time. Couldn't be more excited to bring Avinash, who is also known as one of the digital marketing leaders in the country. So welcome, Avinash. Welcome to PitchCamp.
Hey, welcome. Hey, Bimlesh. Pleasure to be here. Yeah.
But as Avinash, shares his perspectives on how do we build great marketing funnel that converts. You can go ahead and start popping in your questions in the Q&A box, which will help me to moderate and bring it up with Avinash at an appropriate time. So PitchCamp is an initiative that was started, in 2020 with an intent to help, people to share their ideas with the world better. So we do this through investor pitch coaching and sales coaching for entrepreneurs. So we have currently signed a partnership with Draper Startup House, which is a fund syndicate to also focus on their startups as their pre-pitch partner to train and coach their startups before they go live pitching to their funds. Very excited with this new partnership. We are also launching a new workshop called Pitch Right, which is for the open market. Any entrepreneur who's trying to raise your angel round or your seed round, we can work with them to get their entire pitch story or startup story right, so that you increase your chances of being fundable. Right, that's primarily what the investors look for. So, talk to us a little bit about yourself, your background.
Sure.
Your love to marketing, and
sure.
And we'll take it forward from there.
Sure. So I have a long career, but I would like to divide it into two phases. One is before I went into digital marketing, and the next is after I came to digital marketing. So while I was working at Nokia, I got interested into digital marketing because I wanted to know how to promote my own blog. So that got me interested into digital marketing. That led to a couple of small startups which I did on the content marketing space. Based on that confidence in that small startups that I did, I quit my job at Nokia, did a startup for 1.5 years, and things didn't work. Then didn't want to go back to telecom, so decided to build a career in digital marketing. So I joined this company called Sportskeeda as their first marketing employee. Sportskeeda, as you know, now is a big company. Earlier it was not so big. So I joined them as the first marketing employee and helped them scale by 12x in a matter of 1.5 years. After that, I joined Langur at digital agency, where I worked for 1.5 years. Then for 3 years, I worked for a startup called Roof and Floor. It's a property portal backed by the Hindu Group. And last August, I moved out, and now I'm working for a US-based SaaS company called as Conversate. It's a AI company which helps convert leads into calls, because calls are more valuable than just leads. So that's the context, and that's how my digital marketing journey got into it. So I'm really interested in digital marketing, and I'm very much interested in anything to do with digital consumer psychology, convincing, persuasion. These are all my topics that are of interest, and the topic that I'm going to cover today is also somewhat closely related to that.
Yeah, excellent. I mean, absolutely. So lead generation, lead conversion is a challenge across all stages of the company and across all companies, right?
Yes.
Right. What have you been seeing the changes in trends in lead generation before we run into, before we kickstart your topic? If you can just talk about this a little.
No, the trend is, in one way, you can say that it has become very much easier to do, because both the major platforms, Google and Facebook, have simplified lead generation to a large extent. So due to this, what happens is everybody thinks that they can do lead generation, which is a good thing. But to really make it work and to actually bring out outstanding ROI, you need a lot of other aspects like understanding of consumer psychology, understanding of technology, how to build front-end websites. A lot of things are there. So while it has become easier, the tools, platforms have made it easier for anybody to start running campaigns. It is still hard to do it at at optimal level.
Okay.
So which is why if you talk to a lot of people, they say digital marketing, I can do it, which is true. The platforms have actually made it very, very easy. If you're having a small scale business, you can easily start off and scale to a reasonable level. But really, if you want to extract the maximum value, then you need more understanding and expertise. So that's the main trend. So I'm seeing a lot. Actually, I was surprised that Facebook has 20 million advertisers. So you can imagine. So
wow.
While they have 2 billion or 2.5 billion users across Facebook and WhatsApp, they have 20 million advertisers. So in a sense, even Facebook is dealing with 20 million people, 20 million advertisers, their different demands, they're able to do it, which is why they have tried to make it very simple and all that stuff. So that's the background. So that's the main trend. So main trend is it's becoming more what do you call it as, more widespread and mainstream. But there is still room for somebody who's an expert in this to gain outsized value out of what they're investing in terms of ROI.
Got it. Fantastic. So, folks, before we jump in today, we are going to have a very interesting exercise of evaluating landing pages. So, as I mentioned out in the email as well, if any of you would like to have your landing pages taken a look by Avinash during this session, please put them out in the chat box or in the Q&A section, and we will bring it up and have some discussion around it. So, Avinash, over to you. You can kickstart, the conversation around building a marketing funnel that converts.
Before we get started today, I just wanted to bring out clarity on what I mean by marketing funnel. Marketing funnel, landing pages, these are all synonyms that we use to describe what we build as whenever we want to build up a campaign for running on Google or Facebook. Marketing funnel also includes the ad that you're building. So the whole flow, right from the ad to the landing page and the conversion, the whole flow is what we call as marketing funnel. And today we'll talk about building marketing funnels that work using a framework which I discovered recently. So generally, if you see, I'm sure you must have heard this popular Principles of Persuasion by Robert Cialdini. And if you have not, then I would recommend that you read this masterpiece of a book which talks about the different principles of persuasion that can be used. So they are authority, reciprocity, social proof, commitment and consistency, liking principle, and scarcity principle. You would have seen certain aspects of these used in many landing pages that have been built over time, and we use many of these. For example, we use the principle of social proof by you'll see in most landing pages there will always be some kind of testimonials about users who have used the product. So that's basically leveraging the principle of social proof. Similarly, you'll have seen some landing pages which talk about last piece or last few pieces left or last one piece left, and those kind of. So that's basically leveraging the principle of scarcity. So while there are several principles, the trouble is when somebody wants to build a landing page from scratch, there are a lot of challenges on how to use all these principles of persuasion and what's the best way of going about it and all. So the main reason I see that we need a simpler framework, which is not only understood by the marketing person, it should also be understood by other stakeholders. That includes product managers, it could include sales, it could include design, and sometimes even the CEO wants to have a say on how the landing page looks. So we need a simple enough framework which we can use to handle the discussion on what goes into a landing page. As you would imagine, landing page is the showpiece where people want to showcase their products. So everybody has their say and everybody will want to give the inputs. So there needs to be a single framework around which all inputs from all stakeholders can be taken and acted upon. In addition to that, if I put yourself in the shoes of a marketer, there are so many variables that you need to handle, like hero image, landing page copy, what goes into a landing page copy, what do we put in social proof, what do we use as CTA, what are the features, what are the many variables are there. So we don't know where each of these sections should go and in what priority. So there are so many choices that the marketer has to add into a landing page. So we need a framework for that. Similarly, many of the aspects of conversion are not just visual; they're also subconscious and are based on various psychological frameworks. So all these aspects make it very hard for anybody to come up with a landing page. So in order to do that, we need a simple framework. And recently, I came across this framework which actually puts it out in a very, very useful and simple manner for anybody to understand. So this principle is based on a book by Roger Dooley. The book's name is, it's a very small book. It says, the name of the book is Persuasion Slide. So basically what he has done is, whenever we're building a landing page, the whole objective is we advertise our product or showcase our product. They see an ad, they come to a landing page, and we want the user to do something. So this complete metaphor, Roger Dooley has used a brilliant metaphor, which is of a slide. As you can imagine, if you go to a park, you can see a slide. So you can sit on the slide, and when you sit on it, and when the parent of the child gives a slight push, the child goes down. So this metaphor is what is used for building a simple framework for understanding landing pages. So there are 4 components to this framework. First one is the gravity. That is the force that is actually making the boy who's sitting on the slide to go down. Then the second one is the nudge. Nudge is the push that is given, initial push that is given by the parent of the child so that he can go slide down. Then the third aspect of the slide is the angle. Angle is basically the steeper the angle, the faster the boy reaches down. If the angle is flat, then the boy will not slide down. Similarly, you must have seen, right, many times when children are sliding down the slide, they get stuck because of friction, because their cloth is rough, or it could be that there is some sand or some dirt on that. So the last aspect is friction. So these are the 4 elements. What I'll do now is I'll just deep dive into each and explain what each one is with examples. And towards the end, we will review around. I have 4 landing pages which we can review, and I can showcase this framework there. But let's get into gravity. As you would imagine, if you can imagine yourself on a slide, right? The gravity is the most important aspect of a slide. That is, the user has to. Without the gravity, the user would not slide down. So actually, what gravity is nothing but the customer's desire or motivation that could be conscious or subconscious. As an example, if somebody wants to lose weight, and this is something that is there in the back of the mind, and to this person, if you start showing some product which will help lose mind, then you're connecting to the user's motivation. So if you don't connect to the user's motivation, you will not be able to get the user to do what you want to do. So that's why the gravity is the most important part of the slide. And if the gravity of the slide is not, if the gravity component of the slide is not aligned with the user's requirement, then you will not get the conversion that you're looking for. So many a times we see a lot of examples where people are fighting gravity because they tend to use messaging around what they need, what the advertiser needs versus what the user is looking for. So whenever there is a big disalignment between what the user is looking for and what the advertiser is looking for, it won't go well. So in the case of gravity, you have to align all your messages with the customer's motivation, and this could be conscious or subconscious. So as an example, so just yesterday I was going through this Facebook ad which talks about actually this is a product which is selling plant-based lactose-free butter. But if you look at the visual that they're showing, it says bread and a generous amount of butter. So I mean, I'm not looking to buy butter. So I mean, the first look at it, I get confused on what is the stuff. So you're not connecting to my gravity. If I am looking to, because of a health reason or because I'm a vegan, I'm looking for plant-based butter, you need to call it out right away in the front, right? So you can see in this case, he says bread and butter of a generous amount of butter, no relation. Only when you read the headline, 100% plant-based and lactose-free, only then I understand that these people are trying to promote, a lactose-free butter. So in this case, what is happening is there is a friction. That is, we are not aligning with the user's need, and we are communicating whatever we want to do. People who have built this advertisement, they haven't thought through about what is the user's need, right? So if they have to, there's a big disconnect. Furthermore, they have gone ahead, and if you click on the landing page, right? So I'll just take you to the landing page. So if you click on this ad, it takes you to a landing page with just lists of all the products. It doesn't even say that this is a company which sells lactose-free plant-based milk as an alternative. So basically,
or even to that particular product which was advertised.
Yes, I mean product, or I mean there's complete disconnect. So you can see that if you run a campaign like this, right? Obviously there will be no conversions because you're not aligning with what the customer is looking for. That's a fundamental requirement. So gravity of any product is aligning yourself to the customer's requirement. It can be conscious and it can be subconscious. I will talk about some conscious and subconscious examples when we review some landing pages. So the first concept we have to understand is gravity, and we should always try to align our messaging around the gravity. So that's the first concept. The next aspect, which is important in the slide example, is the nudge. So as you can imagine, if a child is sitting on top of a slide, he needs to be given an initial push, otherwise he won't slide down. So this is the nudge. So nudge is the initial entry, or how we show how the customers gets to see what we want to offer. Normally, it is a Facebook ad, or it's a banner on a website, or it can be an email, or it could be a pop-up on a website. Any of these are nudges, and the purpose of nudge is to do two things. First, it has to be visible. So you need to be able to, the target audience needs to be able to see the nudge. Next is it has to catch the attention of the user. So it has to it has to be visually appealing. Second, it also has to connect with the user's gravity. Otherwise, user is not going to click. So, as you can imagine, on Facebook, there are already a million Facebook and apps and WhatsApp, and there are a million ways in which a user can get distracted. So if you don't get your nudge right, which is a clear, interesting visual. Second is which catches the user's attention, and it should also align with the user's gravity. So that is what nudge is, and that is what we'll talk about. So in this example, I'll give a couple of examples of nudge. So if you see this website by Chris Vaughan, he's a well-known business consultant. So he clearly talks about the big nudge. So you can see that nudge is clear. If you go to his website, it is given a very, very prominent position. So anybody who comes to the page will not miss it. Second is he connects with your gravity. So he says you want to grow your business. So he's talking to a person who's owning a business. So anybody who's owning a business will definitely want to grow a business, right? So that's the connect. So the nudge has visual appeal, which means it is visible in a prominent place. Second, it should connect to the gravity. So that's an example of how do you build a nudge on a website. The next nudge is by CXL Institute. So this is a nudge which is very interesting because most of the time the online courses that we take, right? Online courses or online certifications like Google certification or Facebook certification are pretty easy to get by to get certifications and stuff like that. So which is why many people don't value those Google certifications, because anybody and everybody is able to get them. So to address that, these people have made a very, very interesting headline which says the advanced GTM, Google Tag Manager program, was too difficult for me. So this is how they are able to attract your attention, saying, oh, some red color, attract your attention. Then it says, not everybody is ready for our institute programs. Think you can handle it. So it's like they're trying to say that, our programs are serious and it's not for everybody. And lastly, they wrap it up by saying, learn from the top 1% of marketers. So you can see in this case how the nudge has been built. So it meets both the criteria. It has to connect to the user's gravity. It has to be visible. It has to be interesting and eye-catching for the users. So these are the two examples of nudge that we are talking about. So we have covered two topics till now: gravity and nudge. So once the user sees the nudge, he will click on the ad or he'll click on that button to reach your landing page. So when you reach the landing page, they will come and you have to motivate the users to do whatever task you want to do. For example, if you want to sign up for a class or you want to sell some product, you have to motivate them. And the more convincing the motivation, more people will convert. So in the example of the slide, right, they call this as angle. The motivation is nothing but angle. If you're able to provide very good motivation, then the user will slide down very fast. If your motivation is not strong, then less users will slide down the path and reach the end of the slide. Reaching the end of the slide is achieving whatever business objectives for which you're running the campaign.
Right.
So the angles can be both conscious and subconscious. The conscious ones are obvious, like we talk about features, we talk about the benefits, we talk about how our products compare with competition, we talk about free trial, we talk about sales. All these are conscious motivations that we can put into a landing page. So this is these are material aspects which you will use in while building a landing page. You can pick and choose depending on what you want to do. So that covers the angle part. However, there are also some subconscious. These are the conscious motivators are actual features or words that you put. There are also some things that you can add on your landing page which are not conscious, but they are subconscious, and they leverage some of the psychological principles like scarcity. Amazon does this really well. So if you are now just wanting to buy some product, they will have this very prominently says free delivery by tomorrow. So the moment you see that, then if you have a choice of buying it from, let's say, a shop versus ordering on Amazon, you can clearly see that they're trying to highlight that I'll get it by tomorrow, and tomorrow is good enough for most people. So those are like the subconscious motivators that actually make us complete the transaction. So if I had come to buy an iPad Wi-Fi version, and I'm just thinking of ordering, by looking at this subconscious thing saying free delivery by tomorrow, oh really, by tomorrow I'm going to get it, so I will be more likely to come complete the task. Similarly, other ones which is used, I think abused also to a certain extent, is most of the travel websites talk about we have only one room left, and they're basically trying to leverage the scarcity principle. So whenever you browse most of the listing websites, they talk about few rooms left, last few rooms left. They're usually not, they're actually, as I said, this principle is abused. So I don't know really if there's only one room left or they put it for just for the stuff, but it does work. For example, if you're choosing this hotel and you want to decide now, and when you see this small nudge which says, oh, only one room is left, shall I go ahead and book it now? Because the moment the user leaves the website, then he can go to some other website. So these are all the subconscious motivators which you can use in your thing. In addition to that, there's this concept of decoy marketing, which is basically what you do is you let's say this is from a website called as Opt-in Monster. So there are multiple plans. So plan starts from 179, 399, and stuff like that. So they have multiple plans. So initially, when they want to sell the 179 one because that's the most lucrative one, whereas the 99 one is not lucrative for them because they make more money by 179, right? So what the decoy marketing principle talks about is you intentionally add one more listing, which is right next to the listing that you want to sell. So what Opt-in Monster wants to do is they want to sell the 199 one. So they add another one which is like ultimate version, and they say it's at 499. The moment you do this change, right, people are more likely to choose the 199. And this is a well-known research. It's also been seen in physical products, also many examples in physical products and digital products. So this is also one kind of decoy marketing angle that we can use. So there are, as I said, so angles can be conscious and subconscious. So these are some of the examples of subconscious angles that we can use for. Then the last stage is friction. This, I think, most marketers know that if you make things simple, then more people will complete the required action. So as you can see, if there is more friction for the user to do what he has to do, then they are less likely to convert and do whatever actions. And this again could be two kinds of friction. It could be a real friction where, like, because of bad UX or because we have too many forms that we want to do, that can be a real friction. The user may just get turned off and decide not to do. There can also be perceived or imaginary and subconscious barriers for completing some friction tasks. So, for example, there was an experiment done by one of the scientists where they actually showed these two pieces of text, and it actually talks about some simple actions that the user has to do, and ask the people to estimate how much time it will do. So both the text, the one on the top and one at the bottom, are actually the same text. It's just that the first one is with a better font, and the next one is with a more difficult to read font. Just by looking at this, they ran a test with some 1,000 people where they gave this and asked them to estimate. So in the case of the one with the more flowery font on the bottom, the estimation was 15 minutes, whereas the one with the clearer font, people estimated it just takes 8 minutes. So that's the role of the subconscious friction that can impact our conversion. So you have to be able to understand. Your designer needs to be talked to, and you have to convince him that it has to be more readability, and rather than being it more nicer looking. So
Right.
yeah. So another example of friction is the CXL Institute. So they have reduced the friction by saying that they are having a 7-day no questions asked money back pay, for trying out their product, and all their trials are for starts with $1 for 7 days. So this is an example of how you can reduce friction for somebody to try out your service. So that actually, okay. So basically, this wraps up the 4 concepts. So just to recall, we have gravity, which is the user's motivation. This can be conscious, subconscious. Then we have the nudge, which is the introduction to our product. It could be an ad, or it could be an email or anything. It's a starting point where the user's interaction or journey will start. Third is angle, that is the motivations that we provide to the user for completing the task. Last one is friction, that is how easy we make it for the users to complete the task. So what we'll do now next is we will run through some examples. Bimlesh, just for I have 4 examples, but
Sure.
I'll start covering one by one.
Sure.
If you think we need to stop, we can stop, and then we can go back to questions and answers, depending on if there are questions, and we can use it flexibly. So I have 4 examples which we can cover.
Yeah. Before we go there, we have one question. First of all, thanks for this new framework, Avinash. This is very interesting. Rather than it gives a more logical alternate than to the IDA principle.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So
and the good thing is this, as I said, the main need for this framework is when you are building a landing page, there are many stakeholders, and all of them will not have the similar understanding of different things, right? So you can use this simple framework. Anybody can understand the slide, right?
Correct.
That's easily relatable. Then you can say, these are the 4 elements. Tell me what part of your landing page is covering which of these 4 elements. And then you can start discussing and use it to build your landing page. That's the beauty of this concept. Actually, all these concepts I have taken a lot of years to get to an understanding, but this simple concept puts it in such a nice way. That's why I wanted to sort of make more people aware of this framework so that they can start using it. The book is also wonderful. It's a very, very small book. It will take 2-3 hours to read. That's all. I mean, it's a very simple book. Where he gives more examples. I've read the book, and I'm just trying to distill it into 35-40 minutes of knowledge. And I'm just trying to take the more practical aspects of using examples. That's the whole idea.
Right. Fantastic. We have one question from Prasanna. With now browsers equipped with ad blockers and most of the email ads going to spam folder, what are the effective methods of nudge for online marketing? Yeah, emails going to spam, and browsers have ad blockers.
I mean, okay. There are, I mean, at the end of it, the ad blockers will only block ads on, let's say, Google or such stuff. if you're on Facebook platform, you'll be able to run stuff. So I think it's a cat and mouse game. Technology will try and bring ways to prevent advertisers, but eventually publishers have to work on monetization. So the nudges will come in different formats. For example, for all you know, the nudge could be coming from a sponsored article. It looks like an article, but it's probably written by a company, and then there could be links to activate from there. So many ways of circumventing us there. My sense is this is not going to go away. Advertising as a business is not going to go away anywhere. Technology will bring in some restrictions, and they'll work around. Facebook and Google, with their might, will use all it, because their biggest revenue source is ads, right? So they'll find workarounds, and I don't think it's a surprise that Chrome is owned by Google. So Google controls 60% of what happens on web. So they will find workarounds to handling ad blockers. So I mean, on the email part, I tend to agree. It is becoming harder and harder for emails to get through. So I'll talk about this beautiful website called as Sunday. So this is actually, unlike in the Indian market, in the US market, if you want to sell your home because of whatever reason, for example, you had a sudden job loss, or you are you got into retirement, or you had a divorce, or you had an inheritance that you didn't want, you want to sell your house. And as you know, selling your house is a painful process where you can go and list out and classify it, talk to people and all that. So to remove this pain, there's this company called as Sunday. They have actually launched a service where you can go and sell your home as is. I mean, whatever is the current state, they'll take it, and within 10 days they'll evaluate you and give you a cash offer. So basically, in 10 days you can get cash in your house, and the house will be owned by them, and they'll do whatever they have to do. So that's the thing. So the background here is the user's need is that he wants to sell his home to get the cash as soon as possible. I mean, US people are very don't want to waste time. They want to be done with it. So in this market, Sunday.com is operating. So what they have done is they have actually built a very nice nudge. You can clearly see this website, which look at the visual. The visual is arresting because nobody usually advertises a broken home, right? So they talk about that, and then they say we buy houses as is, and then they say sell as is, pay zero fees. That's the nudge that they're talking about. So they're connecting to the user's gravity, and the nudge is in form of either a Facebook ad or on a Google ad. So Google mostly they run most of the campaigns on Google. So they're talking about sell your homes for cash. That's the keyword that people usually in the US look for or get a cash offer. That's the thing. So these people have built out a Google ad which says get a cash offer in 2 minutes. So they're instantly connecting to the user's need, and they talk about what are the processes and quickly get the highest paid and all that stuff. They have some convincing stuff. So that's the thing. So I'll just probably briefly open the landing page also, just for nudge has led them to the nudge has the gravity also, and the initial section of the page also talks about the gravity. So sell your home, fast for best price. So usually they're directly connecting to the user's need. There is no subconscious stuff here. It's direct connection to the user's gravity. Then they talk about why you should use Sunday. What are the various reasons why you can decide to sell your home on Sunday? Then they're talking about their promise, and then they're talking about customers and Sunday. So I have actually, in order to make it faster for discussion, I've actually put it into examples here. So in the case of Sunday, we saw the nudge, gravity in the nudge, and the angle. So they talk about many aspects. So first is they talk about what is their promise. So they're convincing you to try their service. Then they're talking about testimonials. Again, this is a method of social proof, leveraging the principle of social proof to convince people to sell their homes to Sunday. Then they've also made it very, very interesting, because they talk about what are the reasons for which you might want to sell your house. I mean, for example, your house is dated, you're in financial distress, unexpected events, life events like divorce, downsizing due to, I mean, whatever is the reason. They have tried to make it easier for the user to connect for different reasons and why you should use Sunday. And then lastly, they talk about what are the alternatives. You have to use a traditional sales process, or you have to sell it to somebody who will buy it from you and resell it. So between the two, in the US, there are many property investors who buy property for cash. So they're trying to compare it with their themselves with the property investor. So the next step is how they're reducing friction. So as they've just made it very, very simple. You have to go to your thing and start entering your street address. Unlike in India, most of the addresses in US, you can start typing and it will start showing up in the form because of the Google Map integration. And you get it, and then you click on the get offer, and then it gets started. They take your name, email address, they have everything else, and then they come back with an offer within 2 days. So that is one part of where they have reduced the friction. Similarly, they are also offering some other subtle aspects which will reduce the friction of the overall process of selling. For example, they're giving you a free home assessment. So within 24 hours, they will connect with you and give you to get you a new, free home assessment. How much cash you can get. And in some cases, when people are desperate to sell houses, they're actually looking. They need cash in urgence because they need urgent cash. So they also have a 10,000 cash advance. While they're evaluating, they can give you 10,000 of cash in advance to meet your immediate needs. And lastly, they are promising a 10-day closure. So this is how Sunday as the market. This is a B2C example where they have tried to sort of connect with the user's gravity, engineer the nudge, then spend effort towards bringing the different aspects for convincing people on why they should use Sunday, and then they've reduced the overall friction. So it's as simple as entering your address. I mean, I've used it personally for one of my friends. So he said it's just a matter of entering your address and then get offer, and then next they ask for name, email ID, and phone number. That's all. You're done, and then they will evaluate everything at the back end. They'll call you and they will go and evaluate and go to your property, check what is the current state, what's its value, and they'll come back with you. So that's an example of how you can build a landing page which talks about the 4 aspects. The next one which I'll talk about is I'll talk about a B2B example. So this is another service called Applause, which is a remote on-demand testing platform. So essentially, they have a lot of experts who can do testing of the software on their platform. And if you have a need, you connect with them and they will facilitate your testing requirement. So in this example, I'm talking about somebody who wants to do penetration testing of apps that they have developed. I mean, because of security and all that stuff. So people are now, whenever they build apps and expose it to public, they want to run penetration testing, and so that how easy is it for the website to be hacked. So they run a lot of these stuff. So the user need, in this case, it's a B2B example. So it's a very straightforward gravity that the user is looking for penetration testing. So that's why he has gone to Google and is searching Linux penetration testing or security penetration testing, or what is the process and those kind of stuff. So what Applause has done is they have actually gone ahead and built a Google ad, which is essentially the nudge for this. So they're saying, does your penetration testing catch every vulnerability? And then they talk about what is their offering. So their offering is crowd testing. So they have productize these testing things, and you can go and fill in your requirement, and they will allocate people who will do your task. So essentially, they manage the whole project stuff while they get it done from remote exports. So that's the overall thing. So in this case, they're using Google because obviously where somebody is looking for a need, they will go to Google platform and look for services who can provide it, and they are running this ad. So that's the first part, which is the gravity and the nudge. Next, then they talk about on their page. Maybe I can quickly go to their page just for. So they have built a separate page for penetration testing. So they're not taking it to their home page, because
so this is a classic landing page strategy, right? On what you advertise, you take them to that specific content.
Yes, yes. It is just you're aligning it to the user's gravity, right? If
Right.
user is looking for penetration testing, you take them to your home page. Applause does all kinds of testing. So you're putting a lot of friction for the user, for him to come to Applause and discover that they also offer penetration testing, and then decide to sign up for it. So it becomes too much of friction. So ideally, ideally you should never run it to your homepage. I should never run any ads to your homepage. It has to be always run to specific landing pages which talks about that particular service. So what Applause is doing is they talk about some copy around what is the penetration testing. Then they talk about how the power of crowd, because they are a crowd testing platform. So they talk about how the penetration testing can be leveraged by using the intelligence of crowds. They are trying to build a case around it. Then they are talking about what are the benefits of penetration testing with Applause. So they talk about what kind of services that Applause is offering, and as you can see, the text and copy may be alien to you and me, but to a person who's looking to get a penetration testing, he will clearly connect with all these aspects, and it, at the end of it, the problem with B2B is they typically want your phone number or email address. So there's not much to be done other than that. So, but you can clearly see that they have built a case when they talk about their offering, which is the crowd penetration testing. Then they talk about why go with Applause. So they are trying to address all the aspects of angle here. I have some slides here so that we can clearly see the stuff. So in this case of an angle, they talk about introducing the concept of crowd penetration testing, which is the domain that Applause works in. Then they talk about what is the benefit of using Applause. So clearly you can see the connect. And last one is friction. In this case, they have just left it to the form. So they actually left a form which talks about name, email address, phone number, and how can we help you. This is the form. So I think they have not done enough work. They could have done much better. But in B2B case, because of the way the sales teams are structured, they just want the name and the country and the phone number, so that somebody from the sales team can call and reach out to them and connect with them and find out what is the actual requirements. So this is what most of the B2B guys will do. However, I think they could have done something better. Maybe they could have provided a sample report of a penetration report for a client, so that the client will know what they can expect out of the Applause platform. Maybe that could have helped reduce friction in the user in choosing Applause versus somebody else. So maybe they could have offered that. Maybe they could have even offered a 30-minute call with a penetration testing. I'm sure Applause being one of the better marketed companies, they would have tried out and they would have figured out that it didn't work. But maybe there's some room for some ideas for B2B marketers on what they can do. I'm just trying to say that it is possible, but they have not done it. Maybe they have done it in the past and they figured out it doesn't work for their sales structure, because different companies have different sales structures, and maybe they find it easier to just take the name, email ID, and phone number, and then connect to the actual salesperson and then do it. So I don't know, but I'm thinking there are ways to improve, reduce friction in this. But otherwise, they have done a fantastic job on gravity and angle. They've done a fantastic job. So that's a B2B example that I wanted to cover.
Very nice. We have one question. This is from Rahul Bliss. Sunday was more of a business model. Model implemented works out well for marketing.
Yeah.
How to market pages which is not attractive to the user?
How to market pages which are not attractive to the user? Okay. No, you will, as I said, you have to make it. You have to make the effort to make it attractive. If you don't do that, the user will not. As I said, right? I had this example of this company in the initial stages. This site, right? They have not even put enough effort to make. They're just a listing of all products, whereas they're selling a concept, right? They're actually selling a concept of vegan, plant-based, lactose-free butter. They need to be talking much more about it. So it's user, just because your product is uninteresting in the format, the marketer has to put effort to make it interesting. Otherwise, the conversion will not happen. So whether it is in building, I mean, we can do it through organic means also, but eventually you have to provide some value to the user, where user is able to associate his gravity to the product that you're offering. And that is the effort that marketer always has to put. So there's no getting away from it. Even though your product is not interesting, you will have to think of different ways to make it interesting. So the onus is on the marketer. User will convert more if you are able to reduce friction. So a part of reducing friction is connecting to users' needs. And that, if it is not so evident, like in the case of Sunday, it is very evident. I fully agree. There's already a pre-existing behavior where users are going to Google to search for selling a house for cash, and their product is only trying to institutionalize the whole thing. There's already this culture in the US where people sell their homes for cash offers, and there are investors who actually buy the house and give you, in 10-15 days, they'll give you cash. So there are people whose only job is to buy a house, repair it, and resell it. It's called as flipping in the real estate. You can go on Google and search. It's called as flipping. It's a huge market in the US where they will buy houses, they'll remodel it, and they sell it up for 20%, 30%, 50% profit, sometimes even 100% profit, depending on how well they're able to remodel it and access it, or how desperate the person who is to sell is there. So Sunday, I fully agree. It is they're just leveraging on existing behavior, and they're trying to offer a better product. I fully agree, but onus is if it's a difficult category, onus is in the marketer to make it easy, and not on the user. User will unless the pain of the user is very, very high, he will not look for alternatives. So in this example of plant-based vegan stuff, maybe I saw this ad targeted to me. I don't see a need at all. So I need to make it more appealing to my need. For example, if they had said using this lactose-free milk will help reduce my weight, there's a connection there. So brand has to put the effort to make the connection.
Sure. We have two more questions. One is from Manoj Patar.
Okay.
Can you suggest the contact form structure for B2B use case?
B2B use case. I think more in a B2B case, ideally you just need the phone number and at best email. So, this is the ideal stuff. I don't think you need to go beyond this, because most of the B2B transactions decisions are actually over the phone. So somebody has to speak, some WebEx or Zoom call has to be set up to understand the actual requirement. So I would suggest not to complicate beyond what these people have done. I think just gathering the name, email address, phone number, and then talking to the user is the best way of handling it. By adding more forms, maybe it's not appealing to all users. For example, these people could have asked for what platform you're using. You want Linux one for your penetration testing or something, but that particular question may not appeal to everybody. So I think in the case of B2B, it's easier to handle the actual requirement gathering on a phone. However, it will be different if the requirement is standardized. If the requirement can be standardized, then we can build forms which will help us decide whether the customer is useful for us or not. But most of the time, the requirement is not standardized. If you're talking about services, mostly they're not standardized. But if a service can be standardized, then I think you can ask for more information, which can be valuable both for the person who is giving it and also to the B2B person.
Right. There's another question, two more questions. Live chat, does live chat help increase conversion rates?
Oh, very much, very much. Actually, live chat does in stuff. Most of the time, what I've seen is when a user comes to the site and he sees what is there on the website and does not get his answers, he usually leaves. At this point of time, having a chat option is really useful. Personally, I'm a big believer of chat. In my old company in Roof and Floor, we had implemented chat, and we also implemented chat on WhatsApp. Many people want assistance in buying a home. So portals just giving out list of properties to choose from, especially with some standardized fields, does not answer certain questions. For example, if the user wants to know next to this property, is there drainage stuff? Usually they're not there in the listing. So that's what user wants to know. Or how far is it from the bus stand? That's what he wants to know. Or how far is it from the nearest metro? These are the things that are not clearly visible. I mean, at least the Indian websites don't have it. Many people do go to chat, and there's extremely high engagement rate on chat. And again, the chat principle also works on principle of reciprocity. So once you have helped the user, he's more likely to become your customer. So in a sense, by offering chat on your website, you're helping the user navigate his journey, whether it's B2B or B2C. If you help him make his decision, he's more likely to be converting on your website than on some other website.
Got it. Another question is, can we include technical blog on a landing page?
It depends on the business case. Actually, Applause, if you see, okay, I didn't probably show it to you here. At the end of the things, they do have some news and case studies links that they have at the end. So we can include, but I mean, they can be for taking people further down the funnel. That is, somebody who has explored what you want to see and you want to take them to a detailed topic. Like, for example, these people are talking about penetration testing, and then you want to say how a penetration testing report will look on a web app. You can provide a detailed link here. You can provide it, and then there you can capture your detail. But however, using just a blog article as a landing page, I don't think is a good idea.
Yeah, you can look at something like a white paper download.
Correct.
Landing page will take you to a white paper download. Then you have a small form, and then you allow them to download the white paper.
Correct. So I mean, people do use the technical articles and technical PDFs on the blog, but as Bimlesh mentioned, they are usually behind a form. So you have to actually give your details before you download. That actually is an input for the sales team of the B2B company to find out and sort of connect with the user to understand more about the requirement. CXL, which is I would say, because they are marketers themselves, they have done a very good job. So, but okay, I'll just take 2-3 minutes to summarize what CXL has done. So CXL is a digital marketing institute, where they are actually selling advanced courses for marketing people. They offer mini degrees and certifications primarily focused on digital marketers. So what they have done is they have made a very beautiful nudge. I talked about it in one of the slides, where they're talking about using they've used saying the advanced GTM program is too difficult for me. So this is basically a play on most of the digital marketing online courses are very easy, and they just go through and you answer some questions and you get your certifications. So this is a general psychology of people, because everybody is Google certified, everybody is Facebook Blueprint certified or whatever, because they are so easy. So they're just trying to play that, saying no, that's the easier part. We are the professionals because we are the top 1% of the marketers. So we will teach you complex stuff. So they're trying to build their own value, saying that by coming to us, you're going to learn from top 1%, and you eventually you'll also become a top 1% marketer. So they have tried to communicate that in the ad, and also on the website. If you go in the headline itself, they say become a top 1% marketer, and the copy is also interesting. She says CXL Institute is for people serious about dramatically improving their marketing skills. So they are trying to connect to the user's psychology of saying, I want to become a better marketer, a better digital marketer. So that's the gravity where they are trying to convert here. Again, the angle, they're trying to build a big case on. They have actually, it's a fairly long landing page. So even the headline is also sort of is also a gravity plus angle. It's a combination of both. And then you have short pieces of content which talks about why CXL is the best place. And they have also some articles on saying more people the marketers who are in demand, they actually have deep expertise in a few skills, because they have a lot of mini degrees on different aspects. Just trying to take they're trying to highlight that aspect of this one. That's the angle part of it. Actually, they have a fairly, probably the best in till now, whatever I've seen in terms of angle. So they also talk about, because in the initial section, they talk about saying, learn from the top 1%. So they talk about the people's bio here. So these are all people who are like working in large companies, like somebody who's a chief revenue officer is talking about marketing management, and somebody who is experimentation program manager of Microsoft, he's talking about advanced experiment. So they have chosen the best people in terms of using the for building the course. So the course faculty is actually really top notch. That's what they want to communicate, so that you get convinced. Similarly, lastly, they have just one testimonial, but that testimonial is not of a user who has taken the course, but they have taken a testimonial from a person who was actually a recruiter. So he says, whenever I see a certificate, I know that it's an immediate stamp of approval. So they're again talking to subconscious motivation, that because people want to become better marketers because they want to get better jobs and better salary, right? So they're trying to say that industry also values the CXL. So that's how they're trying to bring the angle. I'll ask Bimlesh to share this slide. You can take some time to read the landing page by clicking on this link here. You can see the landing page, and it's fantastic. Actually, it's really top notch, and so. And lastly, I'll talk about the action of friction. So as I was saying, they are offering a 7-day free trial for $1. So $1 is nothing, right? 75 bucks is what they charge, and anybody who wants to see what the product is can try it out. And because they are so confident about the product, so I've also signed up for 1-day trial to see what they're offering, and the courses are fantastic. So because they have so much confidence, they're saying you can use it for 7 days. They have actually over 50 different courses. So there's no way anybody is going to be able to access that course in 7 days. It needs good 2-3 months kind of stuff. So that's commitment. So that's why they're trying to say you can trial for 7 days. So the courses are excellent. I mean, some of the basic ones to the advanced ones are good. So that's how they're trying to leverage. So that's the last example which I wanted to cover.
Fantastic. Thanks, Avinash. Thank you so much. There's one last question. How many CTAs should we include in a landing page?
Ideally, in each frame of, if you're scrolling on mobile, right, in each frame of the mobile, there should be a CTA. So if your landing page is 3 scrolls on mobile, you should have three CTAs. But beyond 3, it doesn't make sense. 3 to 4 is there, and we need to try out different CTAs. So you need to have, because each, users may have different motivations. So you might want to try different CTAs. For example, the CXL Institute has one which says 7-day free trial, and then also they have C plans and pricing. So you can play around with that. But my advice is right from the first scroll to the last scroll, number of scrolls, you need to have at least corresponding number of CTAs, but not more than maybe 4 is the maximum. Beyond that, it will look very, very pushy. So 3 to 4 is maximum. Each scroll should have a CTA, and the CTA has to be aligned with what is the content. If the content is talking about something, your CTA also has to be aligned to that. So that's why I said you should not. I mean, you can use single CTA across the website. I'm not saying it's not. It's not a no, but if you can have multiple CTAs, it works well actually.
Thank you so much, Avinash. This has been very insightful. I definitely learned a lot. I think also, given that there were a bunch of questions, looks like there's a good takeaway for the audience as well. So with this, we come to the end of the webinar. Once again, thanks to everyone for taking time on a Friday evening and staying through till the end. Thank you, Avinash, once again. Great, insightful session.
Okay, thank you, Bimlesh. It was a pleasure.